word is reverence. Reverence. This petition is a prayer that we should be able or enabled to reverence God as God deserves to be reverenced. In all true reverence of God, when it comes to the reverence of God, there are four essentials. There are four essentials in the reverence of God, in the power of God, when you think about who He is. Once again, in order to reverence God, first of all, we must believe that God exists. We must believe that He exists, and we cannot reverence someone who does not exist. And we must begin by being sure of the existence of God. Now, to the modern mind, it is strange that the Bible now here attempts to prove, or never attempts to prove, the existence of God. The Bible has never proved. If you really read the Bible, it has never approved or tried to prove the existence of God. And it's because the Bible is an axiom. What is an axiom? An axiom is a self-evident fact, which it is not itself proved, but which is the basis of all other proofs. I'll say that again, because that's a tongue twister in a sense. An axiom is a self-evident fact, which is not itself proved, but which is the basis of all other proofs. What are you saying, Pastor? Let me show you what I mean. A straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points, right? And parallel lines, however far apart, produced, will never meet, which are axioms. The Bible writers didn't feel that they had to prove the existence of God because they experienced the presence of God every moment of their lives. So they didn't have to try to prove who God was, they experienced Him. But suppose, once again, we did need to try to prove that God exists. And using our own mind to do so, how would we best begin to prove that God exists? Once again, we might begin from the world in which we live. Someone once said, suppose there was a man walking along the road. Suppose there was a man just walking along the road, which is, I'm going to prove something to you. He struck his foot against a foreign object, which just happened to be a watch lying in the dust. He has never in his life seen a watch before. Therefore, he does not know what it is. He has no idea what it is. He picks it up and begins to examine it. He sees that it consists of a metal case, and inside this case is a complicated arrangement of wheels and levers and dials and springs and jewels. He sees that the whole thing is moving and that it's working. And it's working in the most orderly way. Tick-tock, tick-tock, and the hands are going around and all of this. And he sees further that the hands are moving, rotating on the dial in a obviously predetermined routine. What then does he say? Does he say that all these metal parts and jewels came together from the end of the earth by chance? They just fell in place? Or by chance made themselves into a wheel and a level and dials and springs and all of this? By chance it assembled itself into the mechanism? By chance it wound itself up? And by chance it put itself together by chance, and by chance acquired their obvious orderly workings? No, my brothers and sisters, he don't say that. He said, I found a watch, and because of its precise movements and orderly functions, somewhere there must be a watchmaker. Somewhere there must be a watchmaker. Order presupposes mind. We look at the world, and what do we see? We see a vast machine. A vast machine which is working in perfect order. The world and the universe, if you really look at it, and if you ever really sometime stop looking at so many soap operas and so many movies and so many stories, and go to the History Channel. Go to some of these channels that shows you what is really happening and when it comes to life and the intricacies in the perfect order that things flow in. And find out that there must be a God somewhere. Because it don't all just happen, and it didn't all just fall in place. And I'll tell anybody, when they start speaking about wondering about God, trying to say there is no God, and about the Big Bang Theory, the first thing I tell them to do, you try to build a house. You give me some lumber and you put it over here, some cement and put it over there, and some water and put it there, and tell it to build itself, and you wait hundreds and hundreds of years and you come back, it's still there. It ain't did nothing but probably rotted or blew away. It didn't build a house. It takes a builder to build a house. The same as it took God to build this universe. And put it together the orderly way that it is. Sir James once said that no astronomer can ever be an atheist, because the order of the world demands the mind of a God behind its existence. We might again from ourselves say, my brothers and sisters, the only thing man has ever created in life, man can alter, man can rearrange, man can change a lot of things, but man cannot create anything that is living. Even though he tries, and no matter how hard he tries. But I guarantee you one thing, and I know from the bottom of my heart, before God will allow man to create living life, there won't be no life. It'll never happen. This DNA and all this they put in these little dishes, they call them, and trying to put an egg and a sperm together and all this, it'll never happen. God will not allow it. And believe me, my sisters and brothers, as I stand here to tell you today, as man grows and the mind elevates and we get smarter and smarter and smarter, we've almost gotten too smart for ourselves. We have reached a point where God is getting ready to put an end to all this mess. We reached a point where God is getting ready to stop it dead in its tracks, because man has come too smart for his own good. It's about to happen. So what I'm telling you is to wake up, smell the roses, because God is about to bring this thing to an end. And no matter how much you might love this world, how much you might think it ain't gonna happen, if you know anything about the word, if you know anything about God, it's gonna happen. God is gonna bring it all to an end. So once again, we have to ask ourselves, where did all this come from? Once again, my brothers and sisters, we are driven always back to God. Always back to a creator. Always back to someone that's more powerful than anything that we've ever seen. We must not only believe that God is who he says he is, we must also know the kind of God he is. And that's when we know the character and the nature of God. And as I've always told you, once again, everyone know of God